How do you feel about the emergence of Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee?
I'd say it's like a shift in a more proper direction. As we know, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are both pushing mid 80s, and I think Biden would be around like 88 by the end of his term. There's a lot of people at that age bracket that are currently in nursing homes because they can't provide for themselves.
And
So to
younger than
have
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have someone that old for both candidates to be basically the most powerful men in the world, I think that's quite a misstep.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, wisdom comes with age, but there's a point where it's like the Shakespeare's like whole thought where the person reverts back to a child. Yeah, it gets there.
What political issues matter most to you?
I think primarily it would be a focus on socioeconomics when it comes to say opportunities for people and how people interact with say their children, the workplace, their schools. Stuff like PragerU being accepted into Texan and Floridian schools doesn't sit right with me because you can obviously tell they're funded by large industries and corporations that are backed by fuel companies. So any attack on anything that could affect their revenue, then their curriculum is going to be pushed out to focus on debasing that and furthering their crusade towards more oil.
Okay.
And then it affects everyone because of climate change and such. So I guess climate change would also be a fitting political situation to be focused on. But like, just in general, with how people can interact with the economy and their government, because I'm not like super politically knowledgeable. I do understand like lobbying and how Congress seats are won and lost. I know that especially in Arkansas, in the rural places, it's primarily party line voting rather than any introspection or retrospection. So like, you haven't heard anything really bad about Will Crawford in our districts back in Jonesboro, and the kid goes to my school, like his son.
Oh, wow.
So it's like whatever, I'm gonna vote for him
Yeah.
because I know him.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's just no introspection or retrospection about like what can this candidate do for me? What can I expect from this candidate in the future? How does this candidate like act from the past? It's nothing like that. It's all just like this guy's red, this guy's blue.
Thinking about the past and the future, will you be watching the debate tonight?
If I can find an easy source, of course.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of like just kind of I guess you'd say fatalism when it comes to the political debates. When I watched the Joe Biden and Donald Trump one, of course it was just like them going back and forth, kind of like just to see who can one up each other rather than say. I never fully watched it, but from the clips I've seen of Obama and Mitt Romney, where they had quite a like civilized discussion where they introduced each other, they shook hands. Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I don't think they could have shaken hands because they would have been so like tired after the debates that they'd just rather go back to their own spots.
Do you
But
have any predictions about what will happen tonight?
definitely something relating to the black community because Kamala Harris herself is my ignorance is showing. Is she African American?
She has Indian parents, but she
Indian.
also claims to be African American. She has a Jamaican father, I believe.
Ah, yeah. So something about that stuff is coming up because if I recall correctly, there are a substantial amount of black voters for Trump, and I'm not very knowledgeable on it, but it's from stuff like rapper X or
Oh, yeah.
celebrity X is voting for Trump. So it's like this guy is also a cool fellow member of the black community, so I will vote for him. So maybe something like that will show
Okay.
up. Other topics discussed, most likely climate change. We've had another world's hottest summer, so stuff coming up. I can't get the facts straight on whether Donald Trump accepts Project 2025 or not, but there will definitely be talks about healthcare, education, um, the economy. Economy is definitely going to come up because we haven't really truly felt like the impact of less or more jobs. Apparently, from the Biden administration, like this, the current one, they said that they had created more jobs, but people aren't feeling it.
Yeah.
The housing economy is like, or housing just in general is like terrible. No one's happy with housing. That also applies to just getting jobs in general.
You mentioned climate earlier, and I had a question as to that. So, one of the big things with Kamala is she's a big political unknown. She hasn't been there. She hasn't been out for very long. She hasn't put forth very many policy propositions. What would you like to see from Kamala regarding climate?
First and foremost, as with every president, they get to assign new cabinet heads and such. I would like to see maybe a shake-up a bit to the EPA, because I think it's the current director. He's from the old Trump administration.
Oh, really?
And I don't think he's done a very good job, especially with just how regulations have fared, be that deregulation or regulation on certain areas. I know fracking is still extremely popular in Alaska, so anything to curb that would be good as well. And I've been on the whole thing where it's like trying to push back the stigma of nuclear power. So if anything, to more popularize nuclear power more, and even just get rid of the stigma, even if she doesn't do anything to raise more nuclear power. As long as the general populace is re-educated on how nuclear power works, then I guess that's a positive change in terms of climate.
Cool. Do you think there will be a quote unquote winner tonight? Or do you think it will be a mess?
It's most likely going to be a mess, I believe. And there's a lot of fear mongering and just partisanship and expectations, but I've seen a lot of diehard Trump supporters where they'll just believe the man no matter what he says, no matter if there's an outcome or not. It's just as long as he speaks, they do, which I don't think is very politically healthy, but it's just how it is. I think Kamala, I've never seen a debate from her, but she may be the better orator because Joe Biden, of course, he has issues speaking, and especially on such a big stage, any mishap where you stutter, you forget something, you don't touch on something for long enough, will be completely picked apart by the world stage. So on that stage, I think Kamala would do much better than Joe Biden. So I might see her as a victor of sorts, but I think it would most likely end up as a mess with a bunch of clips floating online that, disinform
Gotcha.
everyone.
Do you think we'll get any really iconic clips like we finally beat Medicare or the golf debacle? Or do you think it'll be more tame? What kind of mess are we talking about?
Something to do with
Just more
I'd say
personal attacks?
Maybe a personal attack would be on Kamala Harris's background, where she came from, her parents, her ethnicity. Maybe that'll be an attack. Something on the fact that she is a woman, of course. Maybe something about Trump's age, because Kamala is now younger than him when Joe Biden was older than Trump. So
that is something that could possibly look into. Trump is 78, and it looks like he's slowing down a little bit. And one of the big concerns for Trump supporters is you don't want to be the thing you swore to destroy. So the biggest thing with Biden is his age is playing into it, and that was affecting him. If you elect Donald Trump for 4 more years, the same thing could very well happen to him. How do you think that plays into all this?
Well, the thing is, he's already had a term, so this will be his second term. If he can't get the election this year, then his age might push so far ahead that he might just not become a viable option for the Republicans anymore. they might just see it as another whole Biden situation.
That seems like the nightmare scenario because Trump, unlike Biden, it seems, had that like popular grassroots support under him. But then it feels like if he does lose the election, do the people still cling to him for one more try? Or do you finally say, okay, you've had your shot, it's time to go? That'll be one of the big questions that at least I will have. But last thing, so where do you get your news from? And then how often do you check that source or those sources?
So my AP World teacher recommended me this, and also my AP Gov teacher. I love her, Miss Mayfield in Valley View High School, Melissa Mayfield. She suggested AP News. I'll be real, it's a little unfortunate because I only look at AP News
Yeah.
because I'm spooked that everything else is like super biased when
Okay.
AP News itself can be biased.
Yeah.
But it seems to be it attempts to be very neutral. Of course, I've already seen it's taken stances when it comes to like Israel and Palestine. It's definitely on the Palestinian side, but in general, it feels more neutral. And I'll check it about every day for like new headlines. Now, do I read the articles? Not very often, but the headlines, it keeps me like up to date.
Percentage-wise, how much would you say comes from social media, YouTube?
About 70%.
70%.
Yeah.
That seems to be a reoccurring theme talking to college, 21, 20, 19-year-olds, Gen Z. Seems to get a lot of information. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just different, very generational wise from, say, the boomers, which seem to be chronically attached to Fox News, CNN, those types of outlets. So there is that generational divide that's been interesting to see. But yeah, just I guess one more thing. Just could you stand up and show us your shirt and explain your shirt?
Okay, so Democracy Fellows, it's just I think it's an organization trying to advocate people to vote. So on the back, it simply says, text me when you can vote.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.